and good afternoon. I want to do a video based on a subject that I saw last week in a group called Revelation. It's a group called Revelation, and they're based on Facebook. And the question was, can a Christian suffering from deep depression and spiritual pain, oh, the sun's coming out, and commit suicide, oh, I knew that would happen, and commit suicide go to heaven? Okay, looks like it closes down. Okay, so can a Christian, okay, who is in deep pain and suffering and commit suicide as a result go to heaven? What I find interesting was the legalistic response to, the inquirer. Nobody even questioned whether the person asking a question lost someone. They were so Pharisee and Sadducee. Oh, I'm perfect. I've never sinned. I've never sinned in my life. And the way they responded to that question, I couldn't believe it. There was no love. There was no compassion, no sensitivity. They were a real Pharisee. Oh, I abide by the law, the tablets, Moses' law. And as a result, I was moved, because no one asked that kind of question unless they're either suicidal, they're depressed, or they've lost someone as a result of it. First of all, if you are watching this video and you're feeling depressed, you're feeling spiritual anguish, etc., remember that you are made in the image of the Creator. You are beautiful. There will never be another you. That's how unique God has created. Your DNA, your RNA, your cells testify to how unique you are. That is the beginning to loving yourself, because God made you perfect. No matter what you're going through is feelings, and feelings are not based on reality. Feelings are like the wind, it's fickle. Never judge your reality based on your feelings. That's what the enemy wants you to do. You're beautiful and you're special. Remember that. Feelings are only temporary. Okay? Whatever you're going through will pass. However, let's go into the meat of what causes Christian depression. If you're tough as old boot, I made a video regarding I was going through depression before lockdown, and I couldn't believe the state of the world, how immoral it was, the state of the church. They love money, all these sexual crimes are done to children, and adultery, fornication, and the love of money. I couldn't believe how people were falling for fake pastors. I couldn't believe how deceived the world was with the LGBTQ agenda, and I became depressed. If I can find the title, I will upload it to you. But I made a video, I think I called it Ezekiel. I was coming up with quotes. Okay, what makes Christians depressed more than any other Christians? I'll tell you what. When you are sensitive to the world and you take things on board, you take your faith seriously. You're not wishy-washy, you're not lukewarm. You take your faith seriously, and it makes you open to spiritual attacks. The devil is not going to attack those who love money. The devil is not going to attack those who commit fornication and adultery. He's already got them. He's going to attack those who are sensitive to the immorality of the world, which means if the devil is attacking you, you should be saying praise God, because it means you're doing something right. You should be rejoicing and praise and worshiping in your suffering, because it means you're doing something right. When you go to T.D. Jakes' church and Joel Osteen and they're all happy, asking God to bless them materially, financially, and they never get touched. And the reason being, the devil's already got them. He's not going to touch those he already has. This is strong preaching. So it means you're doing something right. But let's go deeper. When the woman was caught in adultery, and the Jews were saying to stone her to death. They were perfect. They've never sinned. Go by Moses' law. Moses' law. I'll go into the subject in a second. But stone her to death. These people, they weren't even living righteous lives, but they were using Moses' laws for their own devilish purpose. And Jesus, knowing their heart, he wrote on the ground. And then he looked up and says, let he without sin, you can cast the first stone, you can judge. And he continued writing on the ground, obviously writing their sins. And when he looked up, they all vanished. And Jesus said to the woman caught in adultery, where are your accusers? She said, there's none here. He says, neither will I judge you. A lot of people, they use the Bible as a tablet of stone. They themselves don't live by it. They themselves live a wicked life. They commit adultery, fornication. Yet you're going through depression and they're judging your state of mind. Well, I've looked at the Bible. When it says thou shalt not kill, I'm not in any way excusing self-harm. Okay, I mean, gosh, I suffered from depression, 2 years ago before COVID. So I've walked the walk and talked the talk. Okay, as I said, if you are sensitive, you're going to be attacked. Okay, then somebody who worships money and they're in the church for false reasons, they'll be left alone. But I've looked through the Bible. It says thou shalt not kill. Okay, and when he says thou shalt not kill, it means war, people killing each other, violence, etc. But these people that were using the text couldn't even find one Bible verse. I can show you many Bible verses against wickedness, greed, money, right, jealousy, right. But you know something? People still live that wicked life. Timothy says the love of money is the root of all evil. Yet there's more greed in the church than there is in the world. But people pick and choose what they want. This person who wrote, do Christians who are, suffering, going through deep depression. When they commit suicide, when they go to heaven, and they were coming like a cold stone, like a Pharisee. And I felt it because I thought, my gosh, you couldn't even counsel the person. You couldn't even be human. Don't forget, Jesus, although he was divine, he was human when he showed love to the woman caught in adultery. They wanted to use the law as an excuse. It's a man's law. It's a man. We got more power over women. And yet they themselves were committing sin, using it against women. And let's go back to the theme. I couldn't even find anywhere in the Bible, suicide, anywhere. The same people that are attacking you for feeling depressed are the same people. I've not seen one of them attack the trans agenda. Not one of them, but they're attacking you for feeling depressed. Why? Because they see God in you. They see something special in you. They see that you're unique and you're genuine. And by your spiritual pain and suffering, you show them up for the faith that they are. And that's the reason why I'm just preaching. Right? And that's the reason why they attack you. Because you expose them. The pain you're going through shows how genuine and beautiful you are, and they don't like it. If you look at, when Jesus was in the flesh on earth, and you look at how he dealt with the broken-hearted, the sinners, those who weren't perfect, and he dealt with them differently to the Pharisees. The Pharisees were saying, kill them, stone them, show no mercy. But Jesus, being God in the flesh, he looked beyond the law. He looked beyond the tablets of stone. He looked with love. And there's some people who watch this video who've seen the title, will obviously watch it. And I'm telling you, at the end of the day, your life is precious. Your life is unique. There will never be another you. You're feeling the way you are now because you're looking at the state of the world and it's affecting you. You're sensitive to it. Which means, don't forget, Jesus says, narrow is the way that leads to life. I can guarantee T.G. Jakes and Joel Osteen and Creflo Dollar, they are not in that narrow path. They've got thousands of members. Jesus said, unless Jesus is lying, he says narrow is that path. And that path is going to be painful. The disciples lived it. The disciples all died a martyr's death. The disciples sacrificed. They talk about riches and opulence and driving fast cars and aeroplanes and private jets and living in hotels, having affairs like Benny Hinn. The disciples lived that narrow path, that narrow life. And sometimes it's painful. I know. I've lived it. It's very painful. If you, I think I've advertised it. The book I wrote, I left Christianity and found Christ. And it goes to the pain, the pain that I endured being a Christian. If you're living I'm not saying live poor, don't get me wrong. If your life is happy and blessed, and you've never been challenged, of course, you're going to be a Pharisee. Of course. Oh, look at that person. Look at that, feeling depressed, etc. Oh, it's easier to pretend you're having a relationship with God when everything is turning out right. Do you remember Job? Do you remember Job in the Bible? Suffering and pain. And the people said, you know something, to Job, if that was me, if God killed my wife and my husband and taken away my children and my land and my calf, if that was me, I would curse God to his face. This is what Job's friend said, right? I would curse God to his face. Talking human nature. The only reason why I worship God is because he's blessing me. Him. He's blessing me, giving me private jets and helicopters and swimming pools. My life is pretty. I've got a pretty wife, a lovely husband, beautiful children. God is blessing me. That's the only reason why I'm happy. I've got a good state of mind. I don't care about the sins of the world, the immorality. I don't care. My bills are being paid. That's what they call being a Christian. And the devil is happy with those kind of people. But he weren't happy with the 11 disciples. All died a martyr's death. All died poor. So what I'm saying, narrow is the path that leads to life. Narrow, and it's painful. But you can rejoice in your pain and suffering because you know you're on the right track. And when you come out of it, when you come out of your pain and your suffering, you will look back and you'll think, wow, B-Talk, Bible Thought Today in Christian Music, B-Talk was right. I'm looking back at it and it makes sense. Nobody, and my book goes into it, this idea of why the Catholic Church started this suicide thing. I'll tell you what it really means. Everybody in those days after, what's his name, Constantine, pretend he was converted, right? But it's nothing more than a theocracy. It was from a political empire, it became a spiritual empire, and every Catholic soul, right, was a checkbook. It was not. It meant, Dogeism. It made a Catholic system a powerful millionaire system made of money, billions. So every soul that was born put their money back to the Catholic system. That's all it was. They didn't really value human life. You can see with the Catholic scandals, with them abusing children. They don't value human life. No, it's because the reason they use up this term, suicide is all, evil, etc. Even though the Catholics were behind some of the wars, is because they knew that every child that was born and continued to live, their money go back into the Catholic Church. My book, I Left Christianity and Found Christ, goes deep into it, very deep. Right? So be careful of people who deal with you in an insensitive way, as if they have no sin in their lives, as if they're perfect. Because trust me, you be a fly on their wall, and you will see. I could hear some stories. When I lost my father when I first became a Christian. My sister got murdered. I told you, I've walked the walk and talked the talk, right? My sister got murdered by a pastor. I know, right? And my father died all within 2 years when I became a Christian. And all the Pharisees, in the churches were saying, oh, it's because I was a sinner. I had sin in my life. I read my Bible day in, day out. How could I go out there to sin, committing fornication, adultery, stealing? I did no such thing. I had my head in the Bible. But because they couldn't answer it, oh, I must be a sinner. And the same people that were saying that were the same ones who were having an affair. You can see why I titled my book, I Left Christianity and Found Christ. These people will make you depressed. I'm going to continue a lot in this series, right? These people will make you lose your faith. They will make you lose your faith. They're not serving God, but they'll put a stumbling block in your way. I hope you are blessed by this video. I didn't know it's going to come out so deep, to be honest. I hope you're blessed by it. And you can see I was angry, and it brought back memories, making it, but don't let anybody tell you that you're not beautiful, because you are. And it doesn't matter how you're feeling. Feelings are fleeting. Okay? I'm a sensitive person. I made videos, a very powerful video 2 years ago. I was going through depression, looking at how immoral the church was. Gay people mocking Jesus at gay pride, and not one church, not TD Jakes, not Joel Austin, not Creflo Dollar, they kept their mouth shut while the gays were mocking Jesus at gay pride. Because the Bible says, where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. They're about money and tithes. What is inside of you bound to come out. What you think, so is you. And I was affected. And I went through a deep depression. I just couldn't believe it. And, there's a video I uploaded yesterday, a prophecy, I made a video in 2019 before COVID, said God was going to hit the earth. What you see around the world now, I prophesied it. Just look at the video I made yesterday, right? If you look at the original was made in 2019, but what I did, I made it again yesterday because I put something else to it. But you'll find the original with the original date, right? Just look up Yahweh Christ will shake up the earth, and you'll see it when it was made, 2019, way before COVID. So I knew what was going to happen. So even in your suffering, do not think that God is not in control, because He is. And don't forget, judgment begins with the house of God. Judgment. Don't let these Christians fool you. They're living a good life and they're driving big cars and all their bills are paid. Don't let them fool you. Judgment begins with the house of God, which is why he says, I will send to you in that day, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. When they says, oh Lord, we did miracles in your name, Lord, it says, depart from me, ye that work iniquity. I never knew you. So let the wheat and the tares grow together. The wheat and the tares, the tender and sensitive wheat, let them grow together. But in the end, the tares will be burnt up in the oven. So you continue in your faith and don't look at your situation. Feelings are fickle. I know. I'm talking from personal experience. Like, feelings are fickle. They do not last. Do not allow the enemy to allow you to sink into that feeling. Read positive, St. John's and Romans and Colossians. Beautiful Bible verses that will uplift you and get you out of it. Don't forget, was it King David? He also suffered depression. King David. So you're not the only one. Okay? And stay beautiful, because you are special.